He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Kia ora, Pilina here from Culture 101. Every Sunday, just after 1:30, one of our regular reviewers checks out the latest on the big screen. And this week it's Michelle Langstone, looking at the live-action Moana, the French film The Richest Woman in the World, and the Italian film Primavera. Kia ora, Michelle.
Hello, Pilina. Very nice to be here.
Great to have you in here as always. Look, school holidays, you're fresh, you've come in from the cinema. First on your list is Moana. This is the live-action remake of the Disney animation. Catherine Laga'aia as Moana. The Rock is back in his role as Maui. Kiwis all over this. Rena, Owen, Frankie Adams, John Tui as the dad. Let's play a clip though and have a listen.
I know a girl from an island. She stands apart from the crowd. She loves the sea and her people. She makes her whole family proud. Moana, listen. Do you know who you are?
The stories are true.
The story has just begun.
Original score by Lin-Manuel Miranda, What's Not to Love.
I gotta say,
But
I'm a
did you?
huge fan. Well, here's the thing. I'm a mega fan of the animation. So is my son. My son came with me today. He's almost 5. He has carried around a figurine of Moana for 2 years and not lost it. And he's a shambles.
That's more impressive.
That's really telling you something about how deep we've gone. And every year when Spotify does my most listened to, it's just the Moana songs and nothing else. So it lives in me, like it's like another member of my family. So I was pretty curious about seeing this because I do feel slightly dubious with the live-action remakes, Paulina, because I just see dollar signs. I'm like, you can't really improve on the perfection. Moana's a beautiful cartoon, and for those that don't know, beautiful cartoon animated movie. It's about a girl from an island, Moana. She's the daughter of a village chief. She goes out beyond the reef to save her island and then restore the heart to Te Whiti, who is in charge of nature, and her heart's been stolen by Maui, etc., etc. Smash hit. Lin-Manuel Miranda's score and his songs are extraordinary. It's delightful, it's charming, it's funny, it's cheeky, it's all the things. The film version is very sincere and it's doing its best, but it's a little bit earnest would be what I would say. And the thing I think about this, which actually is mirrored in a later film that I will review, is this is the director's debut film. And Thomas Kail has come from Broadway. He's a director from Broadway. And it feels like a little bit like he wants to please everybody and stick to the script and not make any mistakes and just tick all the boxes, but doesn't really have a strong point of view. So it looks beautiful, everyone's great, it's lovely, it fulfills it all frame for frame. It's a lot like the cartoon, but it doesn't have a spark of a personality or a point of view that I think it really needs.
It's interesting you say that because, it is debut film for this director. You just mentioned, wanting to tick all the boxes, make everyone happy, do the sort of exactly what's expected and deliver on what you've agreed to
In a studio picture.
I mean, isn't it likely that that's exactly what happened?
I mean, I feel like it. And so it feels a little bit like the personality of the film, which has got great kind of cheek and flair,
Yes, and
has been erased a little bit.
Cheek is the thing I remember from the cartoon film as well.
Yeah, it's really cheeky
Real
and fun. Yeah, and it's sort of, I will say Catherine Laga'aia is absolutely transcendent. She is gobsmackingly luminous. She's just beautiful. It's a joy to watch her. Her interactions with Rena Owen, who play her grandmother, are beautiful. She's a beautiful singer. She's just gorgeous. She's just divine. She's perfectly cast and she's lovely. Every time she's on screen, the whole thing lifts.
Oh, great.
Similarly, Frankie Adams and John Tui, who are playing her parents, the chief, and his wife, are lovely, particularly Frankie does a beautiful job conveying so much with not very much dialogue.
Yeah, right.
So that's all working really nicely. I think, and I hate to say this because I love The Rock, but I think he's too old to be playing Maui as a real person because he's old like Maui's meant to be a mischievous younger god, and the Rock must be in his maybe in his 60s now, and he's got like a kind of big prosthetic muscly suit, even musclier than what he is, but his face is kind of a little bit gaunt and older, and it's just there's something that doesn't quite work. And I think
because Maui being a cheeky young guy
making mistakes
is a huge part of Maui.
Yes, and he's fast and he's deft and
Yeah.
he's quick. And I think that The Rock can get away with that using his voice because that stuff can be moved around and edited. But
And
when
he
you're
does have a
acting-
really animated voice, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
He can.
But he does not have an animated face. And so it sort of slows down the gags and stuff because it's heavier. The energy of his character is heavier
Interesting.
and slower. And so that didn't really work for me. And I feel bad saying it because I love The Rock. Like, he's a darling, but it does feel a bit like he's on autopilot because he can't. I feel like even his song that he sings, You're Welcome, feels like it's been slowed down ever so slightly.
okay,
Like
yeah.
everything feels a little bit slower, like it doesn't have the zappy pizzazz of the
Interesting.
original. But it looks like a dream. The costume design and everything is beautiful. And some of the script has been changed a little bit, and there's been some rearrangements of music, and those things are all great. They're all good singers and stuff. So it's really good, but it doesn't add anything. And I think it could have been having a bit more fun, you know? And it's so, I'm like, oh, you all could have been...
Toes the line a bit too
Yeah,
much.
the moments where Moana gets to be a bit cheeky with Maui are the highlights of it. Or when Jermaine Clement, who reprises his role as the crab, the really naughty crab that steals all the jewellery and everything, he has got great one-liners and he's
Yeah.
just got such great comedic talent that really lifts it as well. So in those moments, it comes alive again. But yeah, it's a perfectly functional remake that doesn't contribute much except probably a lot to the economy.
And
if I may say that.
And if nothing else, some leading roles for some Kiwi actors.
And if
is
nothing else, it
exciting.
entertained my child for 2 hours.
Yes.
And that was
What
lovely.
did Sunny think of it?
I asked Sonny, did you like it as much as the cartoon, or did you like it what did you think? And he said, I liked it. And I said, who do you like best? And he said, Moana. She's so cool. And she is. And I'd say one thing about Moana, which I guess it's a franchise now, she's a great hero for kids.
absolutely.
For boys,
Yeah.
for girls. She's rad. I love her. And so I'm very happy that she is Sonny's favourite because, she rolls.
He's got the figurine.
Yeah, got the
very
figurine.
cute. Okay, next on your list is The Richest Woman in the World. Anytime I see Isabelle Huppert's name crop up, I'm always sort of, I'm interested. Now, this is inspired by the L'Oreal scandal, and it's a comedy drama starring Huppert. Is that how you say the
Isabelle
name?
Huppert.
Isabelle Huppert. And it follows a cosmetics mogul who forms an intense and financially lavish relationship with a very flamboyant photographer, which causes a feud in her family as she descends into cognitive decline. We don't have a clip because it would be all in French. We would need translation. But what did you make of this?
Now, this came out as part of the French Film Festival, and I missed it, but it's stuck around and it's having a really great run, as it did in France. This is a great kind of comedy melodrama, and it's, for those people that don't know, and I didn't know much about this, it's based on the Bettencourt scandal, which kind of rocked France, where the heiress and CEO of L'Oreal befriended this sort of society photographer and kind of ended up giving him almost $1 billion of the company's fortune.
I had no idea about this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it was funding his lifestyle and his honestly questionable talent. So he's great fun. And her family got more and more incensed. And it was suggested she was developing dementia. And they were like, so basically they took him to court. And it went on for like a decade. And in the end, her autonomy was signed over to the family so they could make decisions for her from them. But I don't think he had to pay the money back. He was meant to go to jail, but got off. This is inspired by it. And so great construct for a story. There's huge elements of drama there, and it's really good fun. It looks like a dream. It's just
As you would expect, right? We're talking French film here. L'Oreal.
we're talking
Isabelle.
interiors. We're talking everything. It's just exquisite to look at, and just I just love it. I love seeing people with it.
bougie.
Yeah, it's just so bougie and kind of, but really understated. And her daughter, who's against what's going on, is kind of quite frumpy and a lot of turtlenecks and a haircut like with these really heavy bangs, kind of like this bowl haircut that cost millions of euros, to upkeep it. And she's just sort of it's a ridiculous world that none of us or most of us cannot imagine. And so it's delightful to watch. And I'm a massive fan of Isabelle Huppert. She is gorgeous as Marianne in this, and she traces her kind of decline, which is a very slow one, and you don't see a lot of it, with immense skill. And she's also not a victim. She's ruthless. She's knowing. And honestly, the girl just wants to have fun. And her husband is there's a scandal going on with her husband and some Nazi support comments he might have made years and years ago that comes up as well. And she's just kind of over being the head of something and seen as austere and kind of not doing anything with it. So it's got a real you can't take it with you vibe. And the guy, Laurent Lafitte, who plays the photographer Pierre, he actually won the César for Best Actor last year. He is a delight. He is a camp, flirtatious, outrageous, melodramatic, flamboyant good time. And the two of them together are really delightful. It's just a very fun movie, and it's kind of scandalous and it's titillating. There's really melodramatic moments where I was like, you did not, where they'd have someone reading a letter and then it would be superimposed with a wistful look of photo of the person and while someone was reading the letter, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's got a real...
They're playing with it.
It's really playful. It's got a really good wink and quite an eat the rich vibe. And it's, it's kind of hard to know the way the film is made who is being taken advantage of actually. Because she seems like she's a really willing participant and she protests that she's, so it's then at the end when she's sort of wrestling over having to prove her sanity and stuff. It's quite awful.
Yeah.
But very enjoyable romp of a film.
And of course, when you've got such a big family name there's a lot of money to be wanted and protected, and the family, of course, going to get in on it. It's a sort of it's a well-known trope of a story in a way, isn't it?
Absolutely.
There are families like that around the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's The Richest Woman in the World, from France to Italy. Your final film is Primavera, Italian biographical drama set in the 18th century Venice. A very talented violinist, Cecilia, confined in an orphanage, meets Vivaldi, as in the Vivaldi, who becomes her teacher, and under his mentorship and through music, Cecilia gains the courage to break free from the life she was destined for and pursue her passion. And again, no trailer because it would be in Italian.
Yeah, so this is another debut film for director Michelito. He comes from an opera background. And it's a very steady, sure bit of a film. But actually, like Maui, and I wonder if perhaps for the same reasons, it just lacks a little bit of a point of view. It's towing a very clear line. It's been beautifully made and carefully done and everything's in the right place. But it's just a bit... It's lacking the jazz, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, and I don't know how you feel about this, because I do love a kind of music biopic. And when I think about really successful films about musicians, I think about something like Amadeus that left and it's such an old film now. But when I think of that, I think of high-pitched giggles. I think of absolute madness.
The wigs.
And that kind of the unbelievable energy of his music.
It's that sort of cliche of a genius being a little bit,
scatterbrained,
silly, a little bit insufferable. Yeah, everyone's running around after them.
But there's so much energy in it.
there. Yeah.
And granted, Mozart's story is very different to Vivaldi's. Vivaldi had an ongoing health problem. He had a kind of quite consumptive chest. He died in a pauper's grave, and it wasn't until almost maybe 200 years, I want to say, after his death, they found his music, and that's when he really, so he didn't have a great life. And he's taught in this orphanage that Cecilia is in, which is the basis of this film, for 40 years, which is, they've taken it that this is where he developed the 4 seasons. So on paper, really interesting. And Cecilia is an orphan. This is a very famous orphanage in Italy, where actually many of the women... They all stayed and were taught musical instruments and became part of an amazing orchestra that went all through Europe. So it's a very famous for that reason. So on paper, lots of really great stuff in there. But there's something missing, and I've just thought about it. And I think it's quite a dramatic film, and there's some real highs and lows and some awful stuff, and it's really awful observing the life of these girls who sort of get taught to have skills and then shipped off to get married to some rich person or whatever. But it's at times it feels the actors are in different films. Some of the performances, I felt I was watching a stage play, particularly the exaggerated physicality of Vivaldi, who the first time you see him walks along and stops and does this hacking cough, and it's like you're watching it in an operatic performance.
Yeah, right.
And then you've got this naturalism, very naturalistic, to the point of a complete undoing of Cecilia. So everyone's kind of, I don't know, the director coming from opera reveals itself in the beautiful care that is shown to music, the way it's used, the way it's edited. But I would have liked for him, for this not to be his debut, but to instead be his second or third film so he could relax and have more fun with it and maybe not worry about getting everything right.
Yeah, and because, with similar to Moana, when you've got two debut directors, of course they're going to be worried because if everything feels like it's going to rest on this film, you want to be able to keep working after this, don't you? And you want to sort of prove yourself.
And it does look beautiful. And, it's not a bad film by any respect. It's very, it's an interesting film, but I think the thing, and also it's Vivaldi, you've got to be, they're so protective. Everyone is so protective of musicians and the most famous musicians. But like when I think of Vivaldi, if you think of the Four Seasons, which you hear the beginnings of it through this film, there is this bursting alive, almost like it's trying to escape the confines of from where it has been made. And that feeling,
The tension.
yeah,
in this Four Seasons.
you never feel it in the film. Like I feel that there is some deep passion unexpressed that could have been pushed out a bit more, eked out a bit more, which I think is a shame. But I'll tell you one thing that was really interesting to me. Venice has never looked more drab and dull, and I kind of was really here for it. I loved this. It was quite lots of greys and blacks and taupes.
Rather than the romanticising of it that we often see.
It was just kind of like an awful place where people lived and tried to get away from.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I was like, oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
But it just kind of was something that struck me when I think I was actually zoning out of some parts of it and just looking at the exteriors.
and interesting about the feeling like different actors are in a different project, because that does ultimately come down to the direction, doesn't it?
It does.
And so, obviously we won't know whether there were other people involved in those decisions, and then what the final sort of, who truly has the final say and the dynamics there. But yeah, interesting that you're able to pick up on that, because it does take you out of the film a little bit when you do notice that.
And there's a lot of wigged Baroque period men sort of with flushed cheeks, giving rants in Italian about this and that, or scolding the girls. And it does feel almost like a Tartuffe, like a Molière play or something. Like you could see them all prancing around on stage and pausing to cough in a really dramatic way. And then the girls are all just very plain, and everything's very plain and
Very
sort of
stage theatre
yes, it's
vibes.
quite, it's just a bit not quite there for me. While still being, a perfectly serviceable biopic.
Okay, that's Primavera.
I feel like I've complained a lot today. Maybe it's the school holidays. I'm just a bit grumpy. I'm like, come on, people, entertain me. Pick it up.
We'll put it down to that. Michelle Langstone, thank you for your time as always.
Thank you very much.